Well, welcome everybody. This is Dr. Ron Oberstein, president of Life Chiropractic College West, and welcome to another Life West Leadership Line. And today I have a wonderful chiropractor, and we've become very close over these last probably Brian, about 4 years or 5 years. He's just a wonderful chiropractor. I've known him for many, many years, but I've got to know him more and more. And I want to introduce you to a dynamic chiropractor from Stuart, Florida, Dr. Brian Moriarty. So welcome to the show, Brian.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Ron. It's truly an honor to be on this great program. I enjoy watching it every week, and it's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. I want to tell our audience a little bit about you. So, just kind of where you graduated from and all that stuff. 2006, Palmer, Florida graduate. So he's been out for about 15 years. First started in Orlando for 8 years, and then he moved to Stuart, Florida. He's going to tell us the story. He's been there for 8 years, or in his 8th year there. Bought a practice that was seeing like 70 visits, and you'll hear about what he's doing right now. And then he got involved, at the right time in politics, working. He's the vice president right now, and that's a very safe place to be. No one shoots the vice president, right? The guns are always aimed at the president, so it's a good place to be. But he's vice president of the Florida Chiropractic Society, which is doing amazing things in the state of Florida. He's now on the ICA board, and he's doing great things there in the short time that he's been involved, but he was a rep before, and just a vocal person who thinks chiropractic. He was raised as a chiropractic kid. His father was a chiropractor. We'll get into that a little bit. And just an all-around wonderful family man who has, beautiful family, wife and kids, and just doing amazing things. And you'll hear his story. But that's Dr. Brian Moriarty in a nutshell. I want you to hear more from him and about him. So, Brian, let's jump into it, okay? I want to ask you, obviously you grew up a chiro kid. You grew up, in a chiropractic family. Your father was a chiropractor. He's no longer with us, but a very strong chiropractor. But what I want to ask you is this: what was your aha moment? Like where you got into chiropractic? Where it hit you or whatever it was for you, or maybe moments. I don't know.
Thanks, Dr. Ron, for that great intro, by the way. And when you're raised in a chiropractic family and your father's a chiropractor, it's basically, you just think your whole life is going to be a chiropractor, going to follow in my dad's footsteps. But I always think back to the story of my father when I'm thinking about my chiropractic journey and where it began. My dad, unfortunately, when he was very young, was diagnosed with a terminal condition. It was a form of Crohn's disease, and this was back in the 1950s where they didn't have a whole lot of treatment. He was, God bless you, he was 16 years old, and they did multiple surgeries on him. And in the 1950s, they didn't have a whole lot of treatment. So the surgery for Crohn's was, they went in, they would take part of your intestines out and sew you back up again. And it would, they'd take out 28 inches of intestine here and there. And finally, a doctor told him he had less than a year to live at age 17.
So, Brian, did they know? Did they even know what Crohn's was back then, or was it?
Yeah, not really. They didn't have treatment. They're just grasping at straws. They're just thinking inflammation, just take that part out, and hopefully it goes on from there.
He's 17 years old, and they give him pretty much a death sentence?
Yeah, they gave him a death sentence. And his mother had gone through a lot. She had lost her husband, my dad's dad. She had lost a baby at 3 months old. And now her beautiful, somewhat healthy 16-year-old, now 17-year-old, is given a death sentence of a year to live. And my grandmother, his mother, is at work, and she's beside herself, and she's just crying out for help. And her boss at work, her brother, happened to be a chiropractor. Now, this is in the 1950s. There wasn't a chiropractor on, 10 on every street corner. There were very few chiropractors. So she said, my brother's a chiropractor. He can help. Comes visit him. So she would take the bus to the subway from Jersey City, New Jersey, all the way into New York, into Brooklyn, an hour and a half each way. And they did this for 6 months, 3 times a week. And lo and behold, instead of my father passing away in a year, it prolonged his life by 30 years. And he lived for another 30 years because someone had the gall to step up and say, a chiropractor can help this situation. And that's what I look at a lot in this day and age is like, why don't we step up more? Why don't we say, hey, let's step up and let's fix this? And it literally saved his life. And if you look at me, I'm one of his 3 kids. If he passes away within a year, I'm not even here. So I'm literally alive today because of chiropractic care.
So let me ask you a question. So he's 17 years old, right?
Yep.
Going to a chiropractor from Jersey City to New York City 3 times a week. It wasn't like, oh, it's too far, so we'll only have you come in once a week. Obviously, this chiropractor was pretty convicted, right? And then your grandma, was very convicted because, there's not much what they can do on the other side. Right. And meaning the medical side, right? I'm sure they did the best they could with what they knew back then.
Yep.
What took your dad, to a chiropractor? So he did. Then he just decided after this, when he was 18 years old, I'm going to be a chiropractor.
Yeah. So he was working for an electrical company, and he really had no idea where he was going to go. He's just kind of getting into a job, getting his feet wet. And when he saw this miraculous result in his life, he dropped everything and he went to chiropractic school, went to Columbia in New York, and became a chiropractor because of it. And he was beloved in his community as a big family guy. All the little league teams came to see him. The police came to see him. He was beloved in his community, had a great family practice until sadly he passed away at age 47 from heart failure. But he lived an incredible life as a chiropractor. And that's what inspired me to become a chiropractor, because I saw this miraculous result in his life. And I wanted that to be my life as well.
Yeah. Is that, by the way, is that a picture of your father behind you on the shelf?
Yes, it is. That is him. Yes. He's always looking down on me every day. And I hope he's real proud.
Hey, you have to be accountable to somebody, right? And,
yep. I mention him in every new patient consultation, the story of how my dad, came to find chiropractic care and how I was adjusted at 10 minutes old, literally right out of the womb. We chiro kids get cleared right after to get that first subluxation out of there.
Absolutely. So you're in Jersey, and did you guys move to Florida? How'd you get to Florida?
Yeah, so we started moving southward. I actually started at Life in Atlanta. Sadly, they lost their accreditation then, so it was a tough time. So I decided to transfer. I was just starting, so I went to Palmer, Florida, for chiropractic school. And my aunt and uncle live in Orlando, which is about an hour from Palmer, Florida. And I had the wonderful opportunity to work for them and learn how to adjust and learn how to be a businessman. And it was invaluable training to work for my aunt and uncle. But then at some point I decided I wanted to switch gears and I wanted to get out on my own. So I went from Orlando down to Stuart, Florida, about 2 hours away. It's on the East Coast near Jupiter and West Palm Beach. And people always say, well, why'd you go to Stuart? What led you there? And I always say that God led me there. I mean, just to be honest with you, God was sending me there to serve his people, and we're in a service profession, and these people needed me. And so I bought a practice there, and it was a guy who was retiring, and he wasn't seeing many people. He's seeing about 70 patients a week or so, and we've built it up to be now the largest chiropractic practice anywhere on the Treasure Coast of Florida, which is a region I live in.
Well, I want to touch into that, but a couple of questions I want to ask you first. Your aunt or your uncle is a chiropractor, or both? Both. Yes. So how many chiropractors you got in the family?
So we have 5. Yeah. So it's kind of our thing here.
Share with me who are.
So my aunt is Dr. Paulette Mattia. My uncle's Dr. Jerry Mattia. You guys probably know who they are.
Went to school with them.
Yep.
And Dr. Paulette was in my brother's class a year behind me.
Oh, wow. And she's also my godmother and a phenomenal lady. She's always looked out for me in my lifetime. So yeah, I got to work for them, and it was just, I think everyone should have that opportunity, because, sometimes when you get out of school, you're a little bit lost and you're trying to find your way. And I was able to to get their tutelage, and it was a great opportunity to.
So you got those two. Yourself is 3.
Yep.
Your father is 4.
My dad. Yep.
And who's the 5th?
And my younger brother just graduated from life about a year or 2 ago, and he's in practice now as well. So it's a big family affair here.
Great. I love it. I love it. So you got into chiropractic. Obviously, your dad was a major influence for you, and his story was a major influence, which is an amazing story. I mean, come on, given a death sentence at 16 or 17 years of age. And, it's really interesting because that was back in what'd you say? When was that?
In the 1950s, that's when he would have a surgery, they would all pray for him in the schools over the loudspeaker. Hey, he's going in for surgery. Let's all pray for him. Stop what we're doing, back in that age.
I know. And it's incredible because back then it really wasn't about back pain, neck pain, the 7 danger signals as I used to see them. And then it went to the 13 danger signals. It's probably about the 2088 danger signals these days. And it wasn't about that. It was about, oh, I'm a chiropractor. I can help you. Right. And as we know, chiropractic, built a success on medical failures. Go back to the 20s, the 10s. Right. I just posted something today on Instagram and Facebook. That was a class of 1912, the Palmer class of 1912. And, they were going out and they were basically saying the same thing. Right. Hey, I can help you. I never forget Herbert Ross Reaver. He told me that when he got out, the one thing that BJ Palmer taught them was they were just excited to tell the world about innate intelligence. It wasn't about we can make you feel better. It was about you've got an intelligence within you that can help your body heal. And all I'm going to do is work with you to get that intelligence going to everywhere it has to go at 100%.
Right. And that's what was told to my father. It was, I can help you. It wasn't, I can cure your Crohn's disease, right? Because as you know, we don't treat any symptoms. That's right. And the power that made the body heals the body. And he had a nerve problem that he needed his nervous system to work properly. So, so many times we have that when we have a patient come into our office where they say, I'm sleeping better, doc. I started getting adjusted for my low back pain and now I'm sleeping better and my allergies are gone and my asthma's gone. And it's like, you never said you were going to fix that. I said, yeah, but the power that made the body heals the body. So
I never said I was going to fix anything. Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's not what we do. We're not, right. I remember there used to be a phrase, I don't put outbacks in, yep. Or we don't fix anything. Well, all we do is allow the body to do what it needs to do. The intelligence within, once it's in a great state environment where it can do what it needs to do. And it's so beautiful. And when you look at that and you start seeing that, here you go to Florida and, you're working for 8 years in Orlando, then you go over to Stuart, Florida, which, by the way, one of my dear friends and mentors, Dr. Ian Grossum, left Michigan, my home state, and went down to Stuart, Florida, and had a great practice down there. But you went to Stuart and you bought this practice from a retiring doctor, seeing what a week, like 70, 80 a week?
About 70 a week. Yep.
Just tell our viewers, what do you roughly, like, where are you at these days?
Well, right now we're seeing about 800 to 850 a week right now.
Good. And how did you take it from 70 visits a week up to, for in the 8 years or 7 years, up to 800 a week or plus?
There's a lot of reasons. One was getting in touch with Innate, and a place like Dynamic Essentials is a great place that I go to and for inspiration. And then when I got to the community, I wanted to hit it like a ball of fire. I wanted to get in, and they always say that I'm the mayor of Stuart, Florida. That's like my nickname down here. Every time I go out to eat, it's like shaking hands, kissing babies to everyone. I can barely even get down to eat a sandwich, but I wanted to be known in the community. So I didn't pay for any advertising. All I did was a big grassroots campaign where I'm going to be at everything. You have a ribbon cutting, you have an after hours, you have a breakfast. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be so annoying that you're going to see me everywhere. And eventually you just start to get that word of mouth going. And I sit down with every single new patient and I go, hey, how'd you hear about us? And I love it when they come in and they say, oh, who hasn't heard of you? So, and anybody can do this. I'm not like a great marketer or anything. You just need to just get off your butt and get out there and find people, because people need you. Yeah. I mean, what do we got? 5% of the population under care right now, and we're home watching Monday Night Football, so.
But the interesting thing, Brian, is what I got out of that is that show up. Just show up at all the things going on in your community. It doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter if you're part of it, not part of it, if there's a ribbon cutting, if there's a ceremony, if there's something going on. If you show up, people are going to get to know you. And they might not know you the first time. They might not know you the second time, but they will get to know you if they keep seeing you, right? Whether someone's outgoing, you could be the most outgoing person in the world, or you can be the most introverted person. People will get to know you either way, right?
Right. And then when something happens and they feel like they need a chiropractor, they think, oh, who was that guy at that event? You're right. Because I went to the first event, I probably got 0 patients. I went to the second event, I probably got 0 patients there. But it's building up that traction over time, doing good things in the community for nonprofits. Like we've served in homeless, shelters and soup kitchens, and just doing the right thing just because. And you start talking to somebody next to you and they say, I was looking for a chiropractor, I want to share people that have your values. I go to church a lot. I just try to just be a decent human being, but get out there and people will notice you, and they'll notice the efforts, and they'll want to be a part of your practice, and you'll see that volume go up and up and up. So
tell us what a day, looks like in, just in a couple of minutes, but what's a day look like in your office?
We start here. We're here 9 to 6. We just got done seeing patients here right now. And, we see everything from, I had a 2-day-old baby here today. We probably had 30 patients under a year old today. We have a huge pregnancy contingency in our practice. We get referrals from all the local midwives and OBGYNs. We're here 9 to 11:30, 1:30 to 6, so about 7 hours. We have 4 chiropractors on staff, and it's just a basic subluxation based practice. There's not a whole lot, to it besides come in, get adjusted, and I'll see you next week. And just turning the crank, and getting people in and getting them well.
I love it. How do you switch their paradigm? What do you do to, because people, listen, let's face it, people come in, you've got a wellness model, you've got a model about learning about, the power within you, that kind of thing, right? There's an intelligence within you, a force within you, call it whatever anyone wants to. How do you change their paradigm? What do you guys do?
I think a big thing is education, because a lot of people, there's a lot of different kind of chiropractors out there. Let's just say that they've probably been exposed to a lot of different things. And it's sad that a lot of people have been to the chiropractor because they've been in an auto accident, which is a great time to go to the chiropractor. But, I'll ask them, hey, when was the last time you came to the chiropractor? Oh, I got rear-ended 5 years ago. And now I'm coming. Now this is my second experience. But it's educating the patient on what we're actually doing, clearing subluxations in the nervous system so that the body can express its full God-given life potential. And when they get that, you can almost see the light bulb go off in their head. Like they're just looking at you like, oh, that's what that is. That's so simple. It's not just about back pain and neck pain and headaches. And yeah, that's great. We're great at that too. But we're not driving that symptoms. We're educating that patient that, hey, this can change your life. And if you don't get care, it can change your life in a negative way. So I think it's big to educate your patients, either doing lay lectures or spending time with them, relate to them on a personal level where you just kind of get to, oh, you're from New Jersey. So, so am I. I've been there. And then just getting them to understand what we do very clearly. We just stay in our lane, in our office. We just do chiropractic adjustments, nothing less, nothing more. And I think people really find that very refreshing.
Right. And so is it start on day one? Is it more your day 2 where you get into it? Like, you've got to shift them out. And let's just say, some people are obviously they're referred to you. So they're coming because, I go to you and I'm all about wellness and I've learned from you. So I'm telling my friends about that. So they're kind of already on the bridge, right? Walking over from the land of sickness to the land of milk and honey. Right. But then you get the other ones that they have their experience of chiropractic was pain driven or it was therapeutic driven, and what you're doing is just, correcting subluxations and working with the body. When do you start that process? Is it a drip process? Is it a slower process? Tell me how that works.
One of the great things about our office is that like I said, we have 4 chiropractors on staff and we're all interchangeable. We all do the same thing. So I like to see all the new patients. Some chiropractors do it differently, but I like to see all the new patients because I want to relate to them on a personal level and get to know them. And when we start, I like to spend time with them and just hear everything they want to tell me. Okay. From they had, back pain 10 years ago and car accident, this, and, surgery, this, and I had a hangnail in 4th grade. I want to tell you about, sometimes it just keeps coming and coming and coming. But I want to spend time with them on that first visit and really get to know them. I mean, we take x-rays in our office. We have digital x-rays and I believe in x-rays. I think that we should, x-ray almost all patients, get them to understand what is going on with them and that chiropractic is the answer to their, we'll get your back pain to go away. No, we are the answer to you living your life to its full potential.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to paraphrase something, but it's like, we have to own it. You have to own that in order for them to get it, and you talked about going, I know you're a team speaker at Dynamic Essentials. I know you speak at other places around the country, and it's really about us, isn't it? It's not about them.
Yeah. And that's where DE has taught me a lot about confidence, about having that confidence to tell a patient that doesn't want to take an x-ray that, hey, they've gone to every surgeon, MRI, every medication, and then they come in your office and they don't want to take an x-ray. They just want to get cracked. And because they saw it on YouTube and they would like something like that, and they don't see why an x-ray is necessary. That's where you have to just kind of break down. We should be that first point of contact, and we're always the last resort. They've had this, that, they can't move, they're not in a walker. And then maybe they'll give us a shot, but not with an x-ray. Just do your magic, cover your eyes and just figure it out. And, it's kind of unwinding that about what we actually do and teaching them that, hey, we're going to adjust you today and you might feel worse. Okay. You might feel a little bit better. You might feel the same. You might feel worse. You might feel sore. That's okay. Healing happens in between the visits. When you go home, that's when your body heals. So we always say that healing happens in between the visits.
That's great. I love it. I love it. I want to get into, and the intro that we talked about was, because I know you're involved in politics, and I do want to get into that because it's important, and I want to thank you and commend you for stepping up. And we'll talk about the right time to do that. But before we go there, at your, in your office, as you're moving through your day and the things that you're doing, and we're teaching patients about, that their body has the ability to heal, and, you're bouncing from people, person to person to person. What's some of tell us a couple stories, like, some of the stories that you didn't expect to happen. Not that we always expect miracles. I mean, I know that, we always expect them, but just kind of blew you away.
We've had so many miracle cases, like, from everything, we have a big pediatric practice. So I always, think of my great kid, patients. We've had so many that have come in with seizures. You never have a kid who's just like on seizures, on anti-seizure medicine. They're closed down. You can hardly get in there, and you give them like the greatest Atlas adjustment. We've seen it so many times, and like the seizures go away and they never need the medication. Like that stuff will kill a child, and it's totally like changes their life. But this one case, I'm just thinking of this one patient. It was a 2-month-old baby that came in, and from the time the baby came in the door was screaming, just screaming. The mom had to fill out the paperwork outside, and it was like 95-degree heat because she didn't want the baby screaming and disturbing people. Screaming outside, screaming in here, screaming during our new patient consultation, screaming. And the mom is just so mortified. And literally, we start to get into the what happened. She had a very rough birth. She had like 40 hours of labor and ended up with an emergency C-section, and the baby's head was stuck, and they took the baby out. And, babies have no neck muscles at birth. So, pulling that out, and the baby's just screaming, just hating life. And it's piercing to the people in there. And then literally we have the baby lay down and just touched the atlas, and literally the lightest pressure, once we figured out there was an atlas subluxation, just the lightest pressure on that atlas. And the baby just quietly stops screaming, closes their eyes, and goes to sleep. And literally the mom was like, it was a different child. And the next time the baby comes in, no screaming. And she's like, wow, all that happened from the lightest pressure. Just the tiniest pressure in the right place at the right time will change that baby's life, rather than put them on medication after medication after medication. And then they have stomach trouble, and then they have allergies, and they're allergic to the planet. Literally just this. And all of a sudden the baby's breastfeeding again, and everything is better. And the mom is mentally better, because now she can proudly bring this baby in, and the baby's happy and not screaming. I mean, what an impact. Like, chiropractic is freaking amazing. Like, this is what we do every day, is like get the chance to change lives.
Absolutely. And, it's not just the baby's life, like you said, the mom, but how about the brothers and sisters? How about the people? Because when that mom is stressed out, what is she doing with the brothers and sisters, and where's her patience at? And is she able to be present, 100%? Everybody's life gets changed. One little touch.
Yeah. And she was mentally having a tough time. Like, you could tell, like, she was broke down crying, the whole consultation, the whole everything. And, to see her smile, and to see that baby smile, that's why I go to work in the morning. I don't care about money. I don't care about fame. I care about that. Like, that is a lady who will remember what chiropractic did forever, and tell her friends. And that's where I love to see the chiropractic profession get to, is like that moment where, like, wow, we just changed this life with these two hands. Like,
hey, dude, it's just like BJ, you never know how far reaching something you may say, think, or do today can affect the lives of millions tomorrow. Right. And that's really what it is. And the truth is that we don't know the ramifications or the ripple effect that takes place out in the world, because all you have in your office is that mom and the baby, and then probably the family comes in afterwards. But that's it. But the ripple effect that happens, it is, it's like, that's what we're here for. It's so true. I love it. So thank you for sharing that story, because I just want to ask you one other thing, just off the cuff. Have you had, how many people come in with Crohn's?
I've actually had a lot, because I have that story on my website, and people see it, and they come in, and it's funny because it's like 70 years later, and you'd think that they'd have that, but it's still a thing. They have more medicines for it, but there's still people just grasping at straws, and they'll come in with that or IBS or something similar. And they'll say, I watched that on your website about, your story with your dad. And, I would love to see if it can help me. So we do get patients with that.
I can imagine. And I just can imagine what your heart goes through, every time someone walks in with that. Cause that's the guy above you above your left shoulder. And that's why you're in the seat you are in today. It's like, I just wanted to kind of throw that out, but thank you for sharing that and sharing your heart on that. I want to shift gears. I want to go into politics, because you know what? Obviously, you're vice president of the Florida Chiropractic Society. You don't just become vice president. You kind of work your way up by working. And, when I say work your way up, you work your way up. And you're, on the ICA board of directors, and you've been in practice, 15, 16 years. It's like, but I asked you before the show started, like, when did you get involved in politics? And you said about 5 or 6 years ago. Which you took the time to establish your practice, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Get yourself going. And what are you seeing in the political arena? And I just want our viewers to know, that not everyone steps up, and not everyone has to step up into the political arena, but we need to support those that are stepping up, those who are kind of strapping on the boots and going out and doing these things. But share with us your experiences.
Yeah, it was about 5 or 6 years ago. My good friend, Dr. Lucas Matlock, was the president of the Florida Chiropractic Society. And he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, we're looking for new board members and we'd love for you to be a part of it. And my wife had just had a baby. I mean, we had a newborn, and, it was probably pretty easy for me to just say no, but I was just really excited about a chance to give back to this profession that has given me so much. And, people think that everything is great in Florida, which it usually is with us on the watch. But, there's some things that happen in Florida that we've, been tracking over the years. We have, people want to make this a very drug-free and surgical profession, even though, I always believe the chiropractic is a non-surgical, drugless profession. That's where we got to start with this profession. And there's groups in here that want to make it so that chiropractors can do that type stuff. And, I think that's a pretty crazy idea. And I think that's why people don't understand what chiropractors do, is they get led astray by these type of factions. So the Florida Chiropractic Society is always on the front lines. We are in Tallahassee with legislators, with lobbyists. We are always pitching our principled chiropractic message so that, because I might get it and you might get it, Ron, and my patient might get it, but we need to make sure that everyone gets it in Tallahassee, the capital of Florida, or in Washington, D.C. with our efforts with the ICA. And we need to make sure that this profession guard the sacred trust, like BJ Palmer said. We're going to guard it well here.
Yeah. And it's crazy that, people think, oh, you've got to do all this stuff and you've got to be able to, slide in here and finagle here, and politics is like all that. But the truth is, it just comes back to how you built your practice. You just got to show up, and people get to know you, and people, they want to hear you, and I tell you, one thing I know about politics, and I've been in politics for many, many, many years, 41 years now in chiropractic as a practicing chiropractor. But it's politics is really about relationships. It's not about anything else. And the simpler the story, the more they can move with it. True. I mean, it's like they don't want the complicated stuff, when you're talking to a state senator, congressperson, whoever it might be, just the simple, like, just what is it? Oh, perfect. I can move with that, right? It makes sense. That's really what they're looking for.
Yeah, and we have a huge presence in Tallahassee, on that front. We are like me and Dr. Eddie Martinez, the FCS president, we're both flying to Tallahassee next Monday night. So at this time, next Monday, we'll be getting on a plane for Tallahassee to have a day. They're having a special session here in Florida, and we're going to have a day up there with legislators, and we're always up there. And I'll be honest, politics is probably the worst paying job in the history of time, considering it pays nothing.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah.
Is that actually a cost, doesn't it?
Yeah, I served on the ICA board with you, Rod. You know how it is. It just takes time and money.
It doesn't pay us money.
Right. But less time with family, but it's something that people need to step up and do and serve. And if you're not willing to serve, I always say this: you can either donate your time or donate your money, but you better do one or the other. Just like with the colleges. You either need to donate your time to a college that you believe in. I believe in Life West. I think you guys are doing amazing things out there. And
thank you.
And I will donate my money. I will donate my time. I will donate, whatever. But you got to do something. Like, you can't just sit back on the sidelines anymore. Like, Life West is doing amazing things. I mean, some of these students I've met from there, like at Dynamic Essentials, are going to be unbelievable chiropractors. So I thank you, Ron, for your dedication to the profession and what you're doing out there, because I'm really proud of your efforts.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Brian. And I have to tell you this, because our line is always your time, your talent, or your treasure. And, or any combination of that, right? Because people think like, oh, I don't have the money. Well, then you don't worry about it. Then put your time in, right?
Right.
Or whatever your talent might be. But if we want to see this profession grow, and we want to see this profession, move in the direction that it's moving, and we want to see this profession, be able to have a simple message. One of the things that I learned a while back, and I think we all know this anyways, because it makes so much sense, is that why doesn't the public get chiropractic? It's because we don't have a very simple definition of what we do. Chiropractic can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. True. And, dentistry is very easy to get, they get that, right? Even though they're specialists in dentistry, they get it. And what we need to do, and even though we have specialties in chiropractic, which are doing amazing things, right? We got neurology people doing amazing things, and we got upper cervical people doing amazing things, and we got full spine people. I mean, all the different things that we have in pediatrics and the specialties that we have, but we have to kind of rally around one thing, right? And to me, that's the nervous system. To me, that's the interference to the nervous system as we move forward.
And like I said, I'm a straight chiropractor down here. All I do is adjust people. That's it. But, and I don't mind, honestly, if people do other things in their office, so be it. But make chiropractic the number one thing in your office. Make educating people. Everyone should know what a subluxation is in your office. Otherwise, just quiz them. Like, what's a subluxation? You don't know? Let me tell you what it is. Like, we quiz patients on that. But make chiropractic the most important thing in your office, because if it's not, then they're losing the message. And that's why there's so much confusion in this profession. Okay. It's because they don't understand what chiropractic is first and foremost, and they get lost and they think it's because of all these other things. Make it number one in your office.
Yep. They say this, I don't know who said it, or maybe a lot of people take credit for it, but keep the number one thing, the number one thing, and if we just hold that motto in our brain, this is my number one thing. This is what I teach. This is what I do. This is who I am. Boom. It's just going to happen. Dr. Brian, it's been a pleasure, man. You're just, you got to do something before we go. And I'm going to put you on the spot right now. But for those of you that haven't had a chance to get to know Dr. Brian Moriarty, he is probably I want him as the DJ at my funeral. I've already been married. I've already been bar mitzvahed, and I've already been all that stuff. I want him, and I just want you to, there's a program that they do in Florida called Saturday Night Live. And it's been going on since I was, a wee tot in chiropractic. Right. And it's just beautiful. And Brian, you pretty much host those things, but you do the greatest introduction in the world. I want you to give us the introduction, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Oh man, right on the spot.
I know, dude. I'm putting you on the spot, but this is who you are. This is your passion for chiropractic. So
I do love being an MC. So we'll do this here. Should we do it for Saturday Night Live or the leadership line? Or?
You do it for wherever you want to do it for. Yeah. Go for it.
All right, it's Saturday Night Live, coming to you from California here. Life West President, Dr. Ron Oberstein. Get ready for Saturday Night Live.
I love it, man. I saw the veins, bro.
When the vein comes out, it's a good one.
It's like that guy Michael who was doing the boxing. You go, and the big, the boxing guy who was doing his thing and got known for, and in this corner, Wayne, he'd go. I love it, Brian, and I so appreciate you, and I appreciate all that you're doing for chiropractic, all that you're doing for the students, all that you're doing for the colleges, all that you're doing, because you are one person who walks its talk, and you do give up your time, your talent, and your treasure. And I want to thank you for that. It makes me feel warm. I don't feel so old being around you, but I've been in it 25 years, 20, long, more than you have. But it makes me feel so blessed to know that, this profession is being left in good hands, because, when you're at my place and, in 41 years and, wherever I am, I hope I'm still, active and doing things around that, which I will be. I'm going to put it out there. But just knowing that you're picking up the ball in your generation, it's just heartwarming to know that, and makes me feel so proud. So thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for being able to share your story about chiropractic. And I want to thank our viewers at the Leadership Line. Thank you for tuning in. You know, every 2 weeks we got a Leadership Line, and in other weeks we have Life by Life West. Tune into them all. We're doing amazing things, and we're bringing amazing people like Dr. Brian. Take the time, listen to this, but do me one favor, share it, spread it. You know, just share it with somebody else who might need to hear this message, because you never know how far-reaching something you may say, think, do, or share today can change the lives. With one individual can change the lives of millions also. So thank you for being with us. We'll be back at you again in 2 weeks with another Leadership Line. And until then, from Dr. Brian and myself, keep hugging those people around you, loving your family, loving your practice, loving chiropractic. And we've got so much to be thankful for. So we'll see you the next time at a Leadership Line. Thank you, Doc.
Thanks.